Welcome to the kbbreview podcast and another of our very special Insights mini-series looking ahead to 2025. I'm Andy Davies and we've partnered up with some key kitchen and bathroom brands to get their take on 2024 as it draws to a close and their views on how the market might shape up in 2025. Where are the opportunities? Where is the growth? What might be the pitfalls? And where is the focus for them? It's an invaluable peek into the 2025 plans, ambitions and goals of some of the sector's most dynamic brands. Today we're meeting Dean Williams, the Managing Director for sinks, taps and accessory supplier at the 1810 Company. Now, as I'm sure you all know, they're a big name in the UK independent retail market, so Dean's views on what 2025 might hold are about as relevant as it gets. You can find out everything you need to know about the 1810 Company at the1810company.co.uk, and that link is in the episode description. And down the line, here is Dean Williams. Hello, Dean.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. Where in the world are you right now?
I'm at home in Tunbridge Wells, Kent.
Oh, very nice. Not far from me. I'm in Beckenham. So we're sort of Kent boys together. Now, I'm sure most people are very familiar with the 1810 Company, but just in case they've been living under a rock somewhere, give us the 30-second overview of who you are and what you do.
1810 Company are a sink and tap importer and distributor established in 2009 by Gareth Williams. Grew the brand really from there, distributing through retail, a number of distributors and project contracts, KFMs. The company's 15 years old this year and is now owned by a company called Shock. Those of you who don't know, it's a quartz manufacturer, the inventor of quartz, based in Germany. They took over the business, bought the business in 2022, backed by a private equity company, and their route to market for the UK was further established by the acquisition of 1810. And we're continuing to grow the quartz product for them while still growing our core stainless steel and tap part of the business.
Yeah, it's a really interesting company to watch because you have that big international ownership, which gives you a real backing. But you're one of those companies that really knows the independent retail market, grassroots, inside out. And I think the combination of those two things is always really interesting.
Yeah, I see 1810, and part of the reason I joined 1810 was I see it as a bit of a pioneer in the sink and tap industry in the UK. It's always trying to stay ahead of the market with products, always changing its business model to adapt to the current climate. Can't say that we get it right 100% of the time, but most of the time we get it right. And that's why I think the business and the brand has become as strong as it has in a relatively short period of time.
We're here today to talk about what you think is going to happen in 2025, but I think we need to do that. I think we need to set a bit of context and see what your evaluation of how 2024 has gone as it comes to a close. What's your assessment of that for the industry as a whole and for the 1810 Company?
So I think the kitchen retail sector has experienced a blend of challenges and opportunities. Consumer demand showed resilience, but inflation, interest rates, fluctuating raw material costs and supply chain uncertainties pose significant hurdles, all along with a changing government this year. Many businesses have had to become more agile, with a strong emphasis on delivering value while managing rising operational expenses. Another big part, I think, of 2024 and 2023 really, but certainly going into the future, is sustainability and energy efficiency. As a top priority, need to align with evolving consumer expectations for eco-friendly products. Looking back at 2024, emphasised the importance of brand differentiation through quality, design and customer service. The year has also highlighted the necessity for innovation, and whether that's through advanced tech integrations like smart appliances or flexible modular designs that adapt to multifunctional spaces.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that when the market is tough and the market is down, you have a choice, don't you? As a leader of a company, you can either sit back and wait for it all to blow over, or you can push forward and innovate and try and come up with something new that attacks the market. And I think you're a good example of somebody who's the latter rather than the former, particularly in 2024. Right, let's move to 2025 then. You're doing lots of planning for that right now, I'm sure. What's your broad overview of how you think the next 12 months might go?
I think the next 12 months will be marked by cautious optimism. We would expect to see a gradual stabilisation of supply chains, those slower reduction to interest rates and changes to taxes may impact consumer spending in the high-ticket categories. As households become more budget conscious, there is likely to be an increased demand for mid-range kitchen solutions that balance affordability with aesthetic appeal and functionality. We've seen a strong movement towards DIY kitchens. Wickes, a company called DIY up in the north. There seems to have been a big switch for consumer spend over to what I would consider these more lower-end products, but still good products. And I think digitalisation in kitchen retail, such as virtual showrooms and AI-driven customisation tools, will become more prominent. This will enable consumers to visualise their ideal kitchens more easily. Brands that focus on customer engagement, social media marketing and experiential retail will gain a competitive edge, in my opinion. In the retail sector for us, we have, I suppose, three categories. You have your mum and pop showrooms, individual showrooms. You then have those that have more than one showroom. And then you have your more retail chains out on the high street. And we've seen the more strength for sales in retail through the retail chains. And that, I think, is because they're getting more consumer demand through the fact that they've got a heavy centralised marketing budget. And social media, I think, certainly plays a big part in that. You know, we've noticed it over the years. If you go out shopping now, you tend not to leave the home. You're on Amazon. You're on the internet. And I think even when you're first looking for a kitchen, you don't generally go and stop the high street. You look online and see what's out there. And anyone who's pushing social media through Instagram ads, through Facebook ads, those sort of things are tending to get a bit more attention. And I think a key focus into 2025 and beyond is for some of those smaller independents to focus on their digital marketing and social media.
Yeah, it's interesting. The younger skewed retailers that I talk to, let's put it that way, are so much more aware and conscious of brand than perhaps the older people who have been around doing it for a long time. They have a sort of localized brand and reputation, but I think the guys coming through are much more about the power of the brand, particularly through marketing, through social media, through all the different channels and avenues you could do that. And I think you're absolutely right. The power of brand, even with the independent market, has never been more important, I don't think. Okay, so look, that's your sort of view of the year ahead. What do you think are the macroeconomic factors that you're looking out for that might affect this sector the most? You mentioned interest rates. What else have you got on your list?
Yeah, so I think there's several really that are going to influence the kitchen retail landscape. Interest rates and inflation. There's been talk of interest rates dropping quickly. Now they talk about them dropping at a lot slower rate. And that, I would imagine, will continue to depend on how inflation goes. We saw, a drop, which was great. Not sure we'll see another one this side of Christmas, but those slower drops in interest rates will certainly play an effect on that. People who have recently signed up to new mortgage deals have probably got a 2, 3, 5 year deal that they've signed up to at a higher rate, and they may have to be spending money that they would have usually spent on an extension or house refurb on those increased rates. Supply chain stability, I think, will still continue to pose a problem. We've seen companies like IDS, unfortunately, have problems, which will affect our retailers and how quickly they adapt to any other potential losses of our supply chain. There's been a few kitchen manufacturers from Germany that have had problems, and I think we'll continue to see that into 2025. I think the other things is green regulations and sustainability. This is a huge piece of work that is still going on and will go on for a number of years. But at some point in the future, the requirement to have green credentials, sustainability credentials, such as energy performance declarations, will become a larger part of what we need to be able to supply. And that generally may not be such a concern for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but certainly for some of those retailers that do small project work of, 9 flats here, a couple of houses there, certainly the house builders will be looking for suppliers with those green credentials.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's because I've been waiting for this for years, if you know what I mean, for sustainability to finally become an actual strategic business goal. But yeah, you're talking about it quite openly there. That's something that you're really aware of.
Yeah, I think the last talk of it was that it was going to become a requirement in 2028. The other side of our business where we do a lot of project work, we're talking to a number of house builders at the moment where they will not entertain supply agreements unless you have energy performance declarations or life cycle assessments already. And I think it's important that we stay one step ahead of that. So the 1810 company, a shop group company, we are going to be pursuing that through next year. And we will look to implement environmental performance declarations for all of our products during 2025.
Right. Obviously, that's one of your strategic goals for 2025. What other kind of things are you looking at for the year? What are the big opportunities for 1810 in the coming 12 months?
I think we're always looking at products. We've recently launched 3 new products this autumn that are available to purchase now. That's where we've designed and manufactured 2 sinks and a tap. One of our sinks is called Hex Range, which is a textured hexagonal press within the sink that I think will be quite an interesting product in retail. And we've had a lot of good feedback on that already with a number of displays being ordered. We've also introduced a more architecturally designed product for our 1.5 bowl sink, and it's our Zen 10 Slim Bridge, where we've changed the way the bridge works between a single bowl and a half bowl. It's a lot thinner, a lot more designer, creates a lot more space within the same cutout size of our previous 1.5 bowl. And I can see that progressing quite well in the retail market at the high end as well as into projects. And we've also introduced a new tap, which is called the Tramonto, which I think will be a fantastic seller in all of the 7 colours we have available. We will always continue to look and see what else we can bring to the market that is different to what anyone else is doing. And I think that's one of the great USPs about 1810 is that we can come up with an idea for a product, have a concept design created within a couple of weeks, and we can have products within 3 or 4 months, which really is industry beating. And they're always different to what anyone else is bringing in. Historically, we've had our Axis product that we launched in 2018. No one had it in the market. And we're always there to stay ahead. We're able to bring bespoke products to the market using certain stainless steel products. And in the construction industry, should the volumes be right, we will bring a product to market that will suit what the interior designer needs. And I think it's important that we stay ahead, but we're also making sure that we stay efficient to keep our costs relatively stable.
You're pretty much celebrating your 1 year. You took over about a year ago, didn't you?
Yes, 1st of December I joined the business last year.
So what's your view then of what the KBB industry needs to look at for 2025? What does it collectively need to focus in on? Where are the opportunities that you think need attention from an industry-wide perspective?
I think the kitchen evolution was quite steep back in the early 2000s, and it's kind of steadied off a bit. There's more materials being used in kitchens now for kitchen doors, kitchen cupboard doors. A lot of the innovations where we went from standard closing cupboard doors to soft closing doors to soft closing drawers to servo drive, they've all been done. I really think the trends are moving towards more of green solutions, recycled products, sustainable products. In terms of design, the kitchen really is the heart of the home. And depending on your property layout, the kitchen, I think, has always got to attract that entertainment feel and not be isolated, because we spend a lot of time in the kitchen. We rarely use our living room. We have an open plan kitchen family area. There's a TV in there. There's bar stools at the back of the kitchen worktop. And that's where we spend a lot of our time. And I think that will continue to be prominent for a number of years to come. I really think it is more sustainable solutions to the kitchen is where everyone needs to be heading.
I imagine your kitchen, Dean, has about 17 or 18 sinks in it, something like that. You're more sink than worktop. That would be my view of your kitchen.
I do have a large sink in both the utility and the kitchen, yes.
I'm sure you got a good price for it as well. Well, it's the new year coming up, obviously. So what's on your New Year's resolutions list? What's on your to-do list for 1810 for as soon as we cross over into 2025?
In retail, we support our retail partners where we can. We're doing a lot of training where we can at the moment. We're trying to support them on projects that they're taking part in. The 1810 portfolio of products is very, very broad, and I think we have something to suit everyone, which is great for us because we can walk into a showroom, talk to our customers, and ultimately, most of the time, we come up with a solution that suits them for what they're working on. And I think we just need to provide our retailers with that support network with the sales team, internal and external. New Year's resolutions for the company as well is the new build, I think, is going to slowly start taking shape. I'm not sure we'll have any better market than we've had this year generally. I think the market, unfortunately, is going to still stay slightly flat, but it's about preparing for the end of 25 into 26, where I think there will be some stronger sales to come. The autumn budget is obviously going to have an effect on our customers, the retailers, the businesses we deal with. Come April, some of the pockets of money they might have set aside for marketing, for showroom changes, they may have to hold on to now to fulfil the requirement on the national insurance expenses that we're all facing as businesses. So I think that is something that is going to need to be dealt with, and unfortunately might scupper some plans that some of the retailers may have had.
That leads on to my next question, really, which is what do you think retailers, your retail customers, should have on their New Year's resolutions list?
I think they need a strong marketing strategy, really do. And I also think it's quite key not to get drawn into the negativity. Positivity breeds positivity. And we have noticed that a number of our retailers, when we're trying to visit, might have shut the shop for the afternoon because they've had no footfall. I think it's quite easy to fall into that trap, to have a negative approach to something where business is quiet, therefore I'm going to take some time back for myself, which is great if you can do it, but you may miss that opportunity for someone walking by. You know, that phone may ring, there may be an opportunity at the end of the phone or that may walk in. And I think the important thing is it's tough out there at the moment, but you've got to remain positive. And you've got to think about how you can do things differently that don't cost you any money. We've had a real big push on posting through social media, new products, thinking outside the box. And it doesn't have to generally relate to your specific product. If you've got someone that is good at posting on social media, they can be talking about kitchen trends, but under your brand. And that will certainly travel fast around people that are looking at products online. Hate them or like them, influencers do influence. And there's a reason that they're making a lot of money out of social media, because they're out there pushing themselves. They're on social media all the time. And I think our retailers have got to adapt to doing the same. If you can afford to find someone who's good at posting on social media externally and you have to pay them a certain amount of money per post, then I think look at it and see if you can get some traction from it, because I think that really is a strong route to gaining some of that consumer viewing.
Well, creativity and good ideas cost nothing, do they? I think that's the point you're making, and I couldn't agree more. Now, let's draw this to a close, Dean, with, well, I mean, everything you said so far is absolutely fascinating and very insightful, but I think there's only really one question that people want to know the answer to from you. When you were a kid, what was your best ever Christmas present?
Okay, a tricky one, because I'm not that young anymore to remember a lot of the presents that I had when I was a child. But if I can revert back to some more recent times where my memory is slightly better, 2 years ago, my son, who's 6 years old now, bought me a Christmas present that sticks in my mind because it's evolved into something that we now do every year. He bought me the Lego set for the Empire State Building. I spent a bit of time in New York. I lived and worked in New York for a short period of time with my wife. And building things, the construction industry is a real interest for me. It's where I came from before I joined 1810. And it's something that following the Christmas period it was time with my son that it was just the two of us. Nothing could disturb us, and it really helps you switch off from the world, gets you quite creative. And we've done it every year since, and we've now created this portfolio of architectural Lego products that I'm sure we will do again this Christmas. And that for me is a real memory thing that I'll take with me for a long time, especially when my son grows up and leaves home and starts his own life.
And he will too, and I'm sure he'll do the same thing with his kids. That's the beauty of Lego, isn't it? It's never-ending amount of creativity and ideas, like we said. Look, Dean, thank you so much for your time. It's been really, really interesting. It's great to get such insightful views and such candid views from you. So, look, thank you again. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.